first rule of being the hotel inspector is never assume you've seen it all. What is this place?
Thought I was coming to some gangbanging convention.
I'm Alex Polizzi and I'm an award-winning hotelier.
Hello!
But it's Britain's worst hotels that give me sleepless nights.
There's a stench in here.
I just check on the cesspit.
This place just depresses me.
I've seen the bizarre,
I've got loo envy. That's never happened to me before.
the ridiculous,
Why would you have a poo-brown feature wall?
and the downright ugly.
This has to rank as one of the ugliest rooms I've ever seen.
I've brought countless hotels back from the brink. Hoteliers think they know what to expect from me, but I'm coming more prepared than ever.
This is my first attempt at covert ops.
No, I've had enough.
You've had enough! You have had enough!
Stick up for your business, for God's sake. Clearly what I need to do is maybe punch him once or twice in the face.
You can't be told.
Tell what?
You want to have an argument on the
No,
train?
we
in the
won't
middle of
finish
the
all the
bleak
rooms,
countryside?
right?
How do you work out what your occupancy is?
I don't know how to do that.
For God's sake. So struggling with this.
This week,
Oh, yay.
I join one man's battle
Help.
It's like a prison sentence. It's like a penalty.
to sort out his struggling business.
Oh, my God.
I think you've got execrable taste.
Wow.
It would be really nice if he saw a way out of this mess. Otherwise, I'm useless.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing this job for 10 years now, and every so often you have a hotelier come along who's landed on really, really hard times. Of course, I want to help him, but I'm also somewhat overwhelmed by the enormity of it all. And then I think, oh my goodness, here we go again.
Collitor's Brook Farm is a 12-bedroom B&B in Somerset with various outbuildings, owned and run by Richard Tucker and his family.
We can't afford extra staff, so it's just the family, myself, my son Aaron and my daughter Abby. Whoa.
3 years after moving to the farm, Richard and his family put the wheels in motion to create a luxury B&B. Their plan was to live in the farmhouse, but turn the derelict barns into upmarket bedrooms.
Several years ago, this was a full-on building site. 9 months build, we'd have 17 ensuite rooms.
But having secured a substantial loan from the bank and begun work on the development, Richard then received some devastating news that the council were planning to build a new road, a road that might run right through his land.
The decision was reached by the bank. They advised us to stop work immediately to allow the destination of this ring road and roundabout to be confirmed by the council. So we accepted the bank's instructions and suspended work on our development.
Richard was forced to suspend his plans for a year, leaving him in limbo. There seemed to be only one option to bring in some much-needed income.
And that is when we commenced the B&B in the house to financially survive this period.
Collitor's Brook Farm.
The whole procedure here is based around the 30th of every month when we have to pay the bank.
The road was eventually rerouted away from the farm, but the bank loan still needed to be repaid, leaving Richard with a massive debt to pay off and an unfinished barn. He currently doesn't have enough money to restart work, and the upheaval of letting rooms in the farmhouse means that the burden hasn't just been financial.
Life isn't easy. It's not obviously normal, sharing your home as a B&B, but we've kind of just adapted to it.
I was with my wife for almost 30 years, and as a result, this was the final nail in the coffin of a relationship, very sad. So it's broken a marriage. The more tenacious you are, the more you suffer. It's like a prison sentence, it's like a penalty. I've worked on Christmas Day, I told you that, didn't I? The kids went off to see their extended families and I had a digger and a dumper here cheap because it was Christmas. Who would bloody work on their own on Christmas Day? That is just mental. If you knew how tough it was, would you have put your family through it? And I definitely wouldn't have done. That's probably the bottom line answer to that. Wowee. Yeah.
8 years on, and I join the story.
Sounds like a slightly unusual job for the hotel inspector. It's kind of make or break for him.
I can't wave a magic wand and erase the debt, but can I help get Richard's business turning enough of a profit to pay it off quicker? So in the future he can get back to the grand vision, moving the B&B into the Barns.
This is immaculate, lovely, clean driveway. It's very welcoming. It's unusual for me, but I feel kind of hopeful. Richard!
Oh my God!
Very nice to meet you.
Oh, welcome to the building site. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
It's very nice arriving here. It's a beautiful
Looks are
building.
deceiving. Looks are deceiving.
Are they?
Afraid so. It's quite complicated, our background.
Yes.
Our main plan A is never materialised.
So you stopped the build,
Yep.
but you'd already borrowed the money.
Yep, about 280,000 quid.
Right.
And at that point, they became fairly aggressive and wanted the money back.
So what a nightmare.
As a result, all of what I'm about to show you are initiatives that we've brought into being to, in effect, help pay their monthly payments.
Show me what you've done.
Oh, you're gonna have a field day.
All right, let's show me what plan B is.
Normally, I'd look around on my own, but with 10 buildings spread across 5 acres, Collitor's Brook feels like a site that needs some explaining. And at the heart of it is a permanent marquee, Richard's attempt to operate as a wedding venue.
This is amazing. All marquees are not created equal, and this is a good one. So how many weddings have you got booked for this year?
Only 12. We've done
Right.
27 events last year, and it was just too much. Weddings are a big pressure. We want
I know.
everything to be perfect.
I know.
And we're looking to use it more for daytimes. We've thought of everything from soft play for kids and wakes from the local crematorium and various other
I mean, of
countryside.
course I want to help with this, but I've got to keep in mind that I'm the hotel inspector. I've got to try and
Yeah.
increase your room occupancy too. Everything is absolutely immaculate. You could teach many of my hoteliers a thing or two.
But that doesn't stop the business from appearing as a rather confused setup, and it's certainly not making enough money.
Okay, tell me about this now.
This building forms part of the development. So that building represents 6 potential future rooms which we've got development permission for. But in the meantime, we fitted it out in a medievally type format.
Why?
Well, it kind of lends itself to it. Yeah, I think it's a lovely, pretty building.
It's a lovely room. I'm just struggling somewhat to make sense of as a kind of business hanging together.
We're very splintered in what we've done, everything from medieval barns to marquees, but we're reacting to yield every single few pence out of what we've got here.
Do you think you're good at strategic planning?
I'm probably
Yeah.
not as efficient as I should be by a long way.
This is going to be a challenge, but at least the B&B part of Richard's business is something familiar and straightforward for me to deal with.
This is very, very pretty. Let's hope I find the same inside. Not quite what I expected from a traditional farmhouse B&B. I mean, I'm very impressed by the internet review sites' high markings. You know, do we really need the deer's head? I think my heart is slowly starting to sink already.
But while Richard scores highly on service, I'm not so sure he's hitting the mark on decor.
This has to rank as one of the ugliest rooms I've ever seen. Why is a cairn next to a carved Indian head next to some very dodgy art?
I'm still starstruck around Alex, I must admit. To have her in my own house, walking around the place, is just fantastic. It's a prayer answered, you know.
This red, I mean, this is a man who does not have an eye for colour. Ugh, I find this so dispiriting. Imagine coming to stay in this gorgeous kind of idyllic scene of this Bath stone farmhouse and then walking into here. I mean, there's a huge disconnect, and that for me is a very big problem, and I'm sure it is for his guests too. The bedrooms wait.
I've come to Colleter's Brook B&B near Bristol to see if I can help owner Richard find a way to increase his income and pay off crippling debts as quickly as possible.
Oh my God.
He's desperate to one day realise his grand vision of operating a luxury B&B from these barns.
There's no magic wand. If there was, I would have waved it 7 years ago.
The kind of enormity of this project is just starting to sink in. I haven't yet formulated an idea about how best to help him, and of course that makes me nervous. I need to add value to what he already has, otherwise I'm useless.
8 years ago, Richard resorted to the temporary solution of creating a B&B in his house. Despite the pressures on family life, it's an arrangement he has no choice but to stick to for now. But of all the disparate elements of his business, this one needs the most help.
Well, never thought I'd say this, but what the hell is wrong with good old Magnolia? This combination of the red carpet and the mauve walls is really disturbing. I can only assume that he took inspiration from the combination found in this disgusting picture here. Bags stay in the brown room. And this is not what you expect from when you walk in this lovely kind of building. Why would you have a poo brown feature wall? It's just irredeemably ugly. I passed the red and the yellow room, and what awaits me next? Bathroom. Comes to a pretty pass when the first thing to put a smile on my face is a bit of coral and 2 wooden fish. How do you pick a bit to fix when there is so much wrong? Help.
Then, at the top of the house, I discover the attic.
Well, this is clearly Richard's room. He's crammed his life's possessions up here. Everything's been displaced to try and make way for this debt. And it must just get very dispiriting. At whatever age do you really want to be stringing your underpants up across the room on clothes pegs? But it must be very odd having brought up a family in this whole farmhouse, and now he just has this. His life is clearly not what it was.
I need to help Richard to maximise his profits, and improving his current B&B offering will help, as it'll allow him to start charging more for his rooms. But I need to think about other parts of the business too. The quicker Richard can pay off his debts, the better for all the family, including his children, Abby and Aaron.
Your dad seems like a powerhouse. What's it been like the last 8 years?
Crazy. Yeah. Crazy, ups and downs.
And he doesn't stop. It is amazing that he's just conquered through and just got on with it.
What your dad's done is quite reactive. It's not very strategic thinking. He's not a chess game ahead. Where do you think that I would be most useful?
So it'd be nice to try and shift the load from the weekends and kind of get a balance through the week.
In a way, this is easier because there's so many elements that he's added to this that I kind of need to formulate a kind of year plan, maybe, of how to fill it up at various points during the year.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Do you worry about him?
Yeah, you can tell when he's stressed out, but he kind of just keep it hidden best he can.
Yeah, okay.
It's clear that Richard needs somebody to do some strategic thinking for him if he's going to increase the profitability of his business.
What I slightly struggle with is how badly the dots are connected. You know, the marquee and the barn and the bed and breakfast accommodation have absolutely no connection in any significant way, and I struggle with that because it makes it a very hard property to market.
Time to confront Richard with a few home truths.
It sounds like it's been a pretty ghastly 8 years for you.
Yeah, it has. I keep saying next week, next year, we're going to sort this, and it's just gone on.
I completely get plan A, but I'm not here to go in fighting for you with the bank. That's not my job.
No, I'm aware of that.
My job is to be really proactive about how to improve the business that you've got now, and that is what I'm determined to bloody do.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some amazing things that you've done. The problem that I really have is to work out how we make the narrative work between the different aspects of your business so that they all feed into each other and that every bit kind of pays its way.
And that starts with the B&B. Richard needs to be able to charge more for his rooms, but in order to do that, I need to bring the standard up dramatically.
I'm just going to be blunt and say it. I think you've got execrable taste. I do not think anyone will be hiring you anytime soon as an interior stylist, because I just find your room so bloody depressing.
Oh, my God.
And lacking in imagination and ugly. I hate the red in the breakfast room. I hate the purple to the red carpet.
Wow. Wow.
Who wants to stay in the brown room, for God's sake? Here you go, you won the lottery today. You're in the brown room.
Yeah, congratulations.
I mean, listen, the problem is, it is so at odds with the exterior of the house.
Nobody has ever said that before, but I take that as something we can actually do to help ourselves.
Yes, this is an easy thing to kind of manage and make better. You know, stage one of this process has got to be give this place a bloody facelift. We want it to kind of hang together as a story.
Any suggestions you give us, they'll be followed up to the best of our capabilities.
Good, that's a good place for us to start.
Well, he certainly took that better than I'd imagined.
It wasn't what I expected her to say, but how offensive these rooms are to people, I really didn't want on my radar. That's not purple. Battleship grey and red, very smart. Don't know what she's thinking.
There's just an enormous amount to do here. I certainly haven't worked out all the details yet. What I find reassuring is that if anyone's going to accomplish anything, it's Richard. It would be really nice if he saw a way out of this mess.
Thankfully, Richard puts his personal taste to one side and, guided by my design team, gets busy redecorating the farmhouse.
I don't think I'm very sentimental about it, but it's just something that we have probably got used to, and time for a change.
Meanwhile, the next part of my plan to help Richard make every penny he can from his business is about to unfold.
One thing that is patently obvious about Richard is that he will do anything to please his guests. But, and it is a big but, when you're running a business, you've got to stay professional, and that means charging for your services.
And if the online reviews are anything to go by, that's a business rule Richard is choosing to ignore. To see for myself how much time Richard spends helping guests, at his own expense, I've sent in a mystery traveller filming Undercover. Her brief? To see just how far she can stretch her host's hospitality.
So I'm going to see what I can get away with and see if I can cause some mischief.
First test. Will he help our stooge out of a sticky situation?
My shirt is ready, my wine is ready. I'm going to do my spillage on for my nice new clean shirt. Let's see how we go.
Lo and behold.
I really appreciate this. Look what you've done. Oh, you've got it. It's whiter than it was before.
Hand-washing her top is clearly beyond the call of duty, and it's taking him away from more important things. It doesn't stop there either.
I'm going to go see if Richard will drive me into town. I'm sure he will.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, bless you.
I'm not your bloody dad, man. Come on.
I've just bought my new shirt. He drove me. He drove me here. He washed my other shirt. Mission complete.
These are all services that the guests would expect to pay for. As far as I'm concerned, it's money down the drain for Richard. 1 week later, I'm back to see how far Richard has got with his paint job on the farmhouse.
This is better. Hi, Richard. Hello.
Oh my God, oh my God.
This is lovely.
You like?
I love.
Well,
Do you like?
yeah. I think it's a good choice.
What else have you done? Do you want to show me?
Yeah, come across. It's the same colour in here.
Gosh, this looks so much better.
You think?
Yes, I do think it is just cleaner and brighter and very much less gloomy. And can I go in there? Into the brown room?
Yes.
This is so much nicer. It's a kind of classic farmhouse colour.
I'm relieved to see that the overhaul of the B&B is underway. I really think this will enable him to charge more for the rooms. After all Richard's hard work, I'm feeling a little guilty for setting him up with our mystery guest.
Time for a cup of tea.
Let's do it.
Hopefully a brew will soften the blow.
As you may have worked out, the crazy lady was a plant.
She was. Wow. I thought I was going bloody nuts.
But there was a point to it. So the two things that I worry
Oh, yeah.
are that, first of all, it was a very bad waste of your time, driving him in to buy a shirt.
Washing, driving. I'd have washed her car if she'd have asked me. She was lovely.
You know, you're on a financial cliff edge all the time, aren't you? So I think where you can make an extra penny, you should.
With that in mind, we need to get our business heads on.
That's the last year.
Get Richard to start prioritising and work out how to increase revenue beyond the B&B.
Okay, so turnover, that's quite interesting. This is what I want to see. I mean, your expenses don't seem, apart from the enormous amount of money you're paying out on the blown,
Yeah.
it all seems very reasonable. Wages and salaries are very low, but then you don't pay yourself anything, do you?
No.
So your B&B still makes more money than your marquee?
Yes, it does. But of course, the marquee, in effect, hasn't been used since last October.
So I'm convinced that one of the ways that I need to help you is to find other uses for that marquee and how we make sure that the marquee and the rooms can be sold at the same time.
Wow. Yeah.
We have got to find alternative revenue for you.
And that's a puzzle I'm trying to solve. I'm at Collitor's Brook Farm in Bristol, trying to help owner Richard Tucker dig his hotel out of debt.
I think we may have started to find the solution to Richard's business woes. He just needs encouragement to see that how he's running the site now is not the only way.
Yay.
To focus Richard, I want us to start thinking of ways that we can sell the little used marquee and rooms as a package, other than just for labour-intensive weddings. And I've come up with a plan. In order to figure out who Richard's target market could be, I've invited 3 different event organisers to come and check out all the farm has to offer.
Go on, please.
Follow me.
After you.
Just watch your head, Stephen, and there's a little room through there you can look at. Dining room here. Feel free to have a wander.
Thank
there
you.
You are. You're welcome.
Head up.
Yeah, keep your head up.
What is abundantly clear about Richard is he lacks any ability for strategic thinking, which, despite his great personal charm, I can't help but find infuriating. However, what the events market does is allow him the chance to offer all these disparate parts of his business as a complete package, but only if the clients like what they see.
Now it's up to Richard to show his visitors the benefits of hiring the whole site as a package.
What I'm trying to encourage him to think of is a kind of a year-long programme. of how the space can be used.
We've been sporadic with the types of businesses or incomes that we've pursued. So I'm not sure if you know about our planning issues, but
No.
You don't?
No, I wouldn't worry about your planning issues. When marketing your property, it is very useful to be extremely enthusiastic and positive. There's no point telling everyone about the problems you have because they don't give a flying fuckaroo.
I do rabbit on a fair bit. And suddenly there's a bit of a pause or a delay in conversation, and I'm kind of like a schoolboy kicking his shoes, you know, looking at the ground.
Right, I think it's starting to spit with rain, so let's complete the circle.
I can only hope Richard senses my not-so-subtle frustration and starts being more positive and focused.
It seems a little odd to walk into a building like this, but we use it for wedding breakfasts.
And how many can it seat?
You could deal with groups of 60 at a time without much problem.
Because up until now, the only events that Richard has held here has been weddings.
Yeah.
Right.
But what he means to say is this is a multi-purpose space which has so many opportunities.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm desperate for Richard to start thinking strategically about his business. Weddings may fill the summer months, but that still leaves the marquee and B&B sitting empty for much of the year.
It's a rather nice marquee, I think you'll agree. Great, isn't it?
Very nice.
And obviously it can be opened up. I just think, you know, this is England, so any event one holds, one needs the option of cover.
Yeah. Great for a garden party.
I know.
They've made all the right noises, but compliments won't pay the bills. What we need to know is, could they do business here?
It's a real interesting tour. One thing which really comes through, and why I'd be really keen to actually work with Richard, is you can see that he's so passionate.
Yeah.
And if we were looking to come here, we would hire the accommodation, and also to have the permanent marquee. It is superb. So it lends the hand extremely well.
I think the marquee space is great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a plus for a venue. It is actually a perfect event space.
I'm so keen to try and find other revenue avenues, and I'm very glad that this is something that you might be interested in.
And I think once it's on the kind of radar as an event space, then you'll get other people coming in. It's just getting the ball rolling.
This is music to my ears.
You know, I don't know that I started this afternoon with any high hopes, if I'm honest. But actually, it's been a really positive day. At least two people are very keen to actually do something with Richard, which, you know, 2 out of 3 is a pretty good hit rate in my book.
A week later, and one of Richard's visitors, Joe, has followed through by booking the farm for an event. This proof that Collitor's Brook can be marketed as a whole package is just the boost that Richard needs. But I still think he's missing a trick. One of the best ways to make money from a vintage event is with a food offering.
Joe has told me that you can make very good money for catering at these events. In fact, one venue that she's recently worked with made £10,000 in a weekend.
I've invited Richard to join me in London to share the plan.
The reason I'm so obsessed with putting on an event is because it provides Richard with 3 revenue streams. 1, the rent for the space itself. Secondly, the opportunity to sell the rooms to those people who are participating. And thirdly, of course, the food offering, which is why we're here today. There's an enormous interest in using your grounds and in using your spaces. I've talked to Jo from Miss Ivy Events, and she's very keen to put on an event, some kind of vintage fair.
Wow.
Do you think she can put it on really quickly?
Oh, great.
The stall holders set up their own stalls, so it's not you who has to do that. I think you should take on the challenge of trying to provide a food offering so that you can then keep the proceeds and make some money that way.
100% into that.
I'm glad. This could be a real money spinner for Richard. We just need to settle on the right offering that's simple and cost-effective. Box Park Croydon, London's latest foodie haven, should help Richard to focus.
You know, if you'd run an event, it would be silly to hand over one of the most financially productive aspects of it to a third party.
Richard's first challenge: identify the right product for his target market. There's plenty of inspiration here.
Delicious. Do you have a top tip for a new trader?
Do something unique and don't be afraid to put up a price. If you do quality stuff, people will follow you.
That's great.
Good advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
But we have to think practical for Richard's offering. And what could be simpler than the humble burger?
So I brought you here specifically because I think it's something that you could possibly do
I think
in your
I
establishment.
think we possibly could.
I think you might be able to cook a burger.
Cool. Shall we do it?
Yeah, let's go for one.
I'll give them a bit of good seasoning.
Wow. They look good.
I want him to understand that it isn't impossible to create a quality product. You can serve lots of people, do it quite fast, and make some money. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Look at those. They look amazing.
Medium rare, allegedly.
That's really good.
But it's not just about cooking the burgers.
Not only does Richard have to find something he's comfortable cooking, but he also has to get the maths right. And that basically means making sure he's done a proper costing and then ensuring that there's a proper markup so he makes a decent profit. Meat is a really expensive product. How do you work out pricing?
Basically, we make our own patties. Wow. If you want to charge people less, you can do the patty slightly smaller. And we kind of add up, you know, how much is the patty, how much is the bun. Basically times it by 4.2, pretty much. And that gives you about 75, 76% profit.
That's so fantastic, thank you. I promise you, he's in Bristol, so he's not going to be...
I'm not going to be your competitor, don't worry. Big opportunity now. Been given a task by Alex. I'm really excited, bit daunted, but we're up for it. Back to Bristol pronto.
Back in Bristol, there's more good news. Traders coming to the event have booked accommodation. Before they come, my design team have been busy transforming the rooms at the farmhouse. Gone are the gaudy colours and ghastly decor, replaced by rooms that feel warm, stylish, and consistent with the exterior of the farmhouse. Meanwhile, the downstairs breakfast room is now a far more welcoming prospect, banishing the clutter and embracing its farmhouse identity. Richard hasn't raised his room rate in years. The new look should help him feel confident in charging more for his offering. Now we need to see if we can make a success of Richard's event at Collitor's Brook.
I'm on bunting duty for the minute, if I can do it.
25 stall holders have arrived for the farm's inaugural vintage fair. This is an opportunity for Richard to launch himself onto the event circuit. Has he managed to focus on getting it right?
At the last minute, I forgot that I haven't done a sign for the burger costings. Oh, it's a fucking disaster, isn't it? Trying to think what to write. Can't think what to write. Mine's gone a mental block.
I'm a bit nervous. I hope people are going to come and I hope Richard's ready.
Gourmet. Is that right?
Dad, really quick, how many bags of salad? Sorry, I know it's...
10.
10?
The weather doesn't look like it's playing along either, so very unpleasant.
If the weather fails us, Richard is going to have to up his game.
OK, Spring Garden Fate sign, Collitor's Brook Farm.
Oh, yay. Be all right on the night,
I'm back at Collitor's Brook Farm, and it's a big day for owner Richard.
Uh-oh.
There's quite a lot riding on today. I've been trying to convince Richard, I mean, goodness knows, one of his things is diversifying, but this, hopefully, is diversifying in a clever way.
Today's vintage event could mark the way for a new blueprint business plan, showing Richard how to sell his whole site as a package and make a decent profit.
It allows him to have 3 streams of revenue. So stall holders staying with him in the B&B. There's the money from holding the event. And the last bit is the money from the food.
If it goes well, he'll be able to recreate the template all year round, tapping into the events market. The weather is against us, but so far it's failing to dampen the spirits of the traders.
Well, the weather's nothing new. We've just got to go with the flow. I exhibit in lots of venues, but not always like this one. It's really, really lovely here.
We're set up and we're hopefully ready to go and waiting for people to start coming in droves.
How exciting. Gosh. Hi.
Oh, Alex, oh my
How are
God.
you?
All right. How are you?
This is looking fab. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I know, crazy.
The weather's not
been
particularly.
against us, isn't it? So,
but still, I'm going to hold the faith.
Yeah, and me.
Some of our traders stayed over last night, and while we wait for the rain to ease, I want to see what some of the others think of the new look B&B. I'm hoping the feedback will encourage Richard to raise his prices in future.
The whole idea for me was that the inside and the outside should match. And from the outside, this is the most idyllic little farmhouse cottage, and hopefully that's what this room gives the impression of too. So you approve?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
This is the green room, which is one of the rooms that we did that I'm very pleased with. I was talking to Joe and we were thinking that maybe at events it's quite nice to be able to offer rooms on site for people who are setting up.
Yes, as a trader, someone has to get up very early to come as far as we have done, especially today. An overnight stay would be really good to make us fresher in the morning.
Yeah?
Yeah, much better prepared for the day if you've had a good night's sleep and you haven't had the early start. So.
Good, okay, that's really nice. Thank you.
I'm heartened by how well the rooms have gone down. Now I just hope Richard has sorted out his catering and his costings.
Here we are, Alex. We're not quite organised yet, but...
Okay, nice and clear, well
Good.
done. Have you costed it out? You've made sure you're making a profit?
Yep. We worked on that equation from our friend in London. I think it was 72 times 4, and that gives you the percentage.
Why 70? What's 72?
That's what you told me.
No, he said he takes a cost price, which might be 72.
Ah, maybe.
Maybe in your case that's 72.
Yeah.
And then you times it by 4.
Well, our cost price is 52.
So that's great.
Yeah.
So you're making good money. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
We can't wait any longer. It's time to open the gates.
I feel quite a big sense of responsibility because Joe's really made an effort to get the stall holders all here.
It's crucial for both Joe and Richard to see the potential here.
This is a hurdle, and I think if we manage to take it, then he will be very encouraged to do this kind of thing again. And if it falls flat on its face, it will leave everyone feeling a bit despondent.
But despite the good old-fashioned British weather, people have come.
Bit of Charleston stroll going on down here.
And they're spending money.
Thank you very much.
Some more than others.
Oh, that's rather nice. Is it that way, like that?
Yeah, that looks lovely.
I'm definitely going to take this. I can see 1,000 uses for it already.
And the good news is that people are buying Richard's burgers. I just hope he's sticking to his prices.
Have you been charging?
Yeah.
Have you been charging
of course I have.
properly? Because I think there's a couple of things you've got to remember. First of all, never undercharge. When you've got prices on your bloody thing, charge them. And then secondly, it might be useful for you to have a pad so you know what you're making at any given time.
Fair enough.
There is still one important person to pass judgment on today's event. Does organiser Joe think it's been a success?
Today the event's gone really well. It's been a real good trial run for Richard. So he's seen what's worked, and we've worked with the venue, so we now know what works. So we look forward to working with them in the future.
Juicy burgers. Come and get your burgers. Oh, look at that. We've done a new dry run of something completely different. Everybody who comes over is telling me how lovely everything is, and I think there's plenty of positives.
I mean, that marquee is worth its weight in gold.
It is, yes.
Because actually, despite the miserable weather, everyone's still in there, having quite a nice time.
Yeah.
Actually, everything's worked very well. I think it's quite interesting to have a programme of things or events or exclusive uses, because people just want to hire this. Finding a solution to Richard's problems was never going to happen overnight, but my aim has always been to help him bring in more income and pay his debts off quicker. I knew this was going to be a tough challenge because basically running this like this was never Richard's dream. I really hope I found a possible way forward for Richard. I mean, he's a very enthusiastic man, but I truly believe that this has opened an avenue for him that he hadn't previously considered. I can only hope Richard and his family feel the same. Hi, darling. You catching up?
Yes.
How did we do?
Yeah, really well.
The reality is we only got 60 people through the door, but on those 60 people, you turned 450 quid.
Marvellous.
Which isn't bad.
Not bad, yeah.
You know what? They loved coming here. They loved you. They loved the whole experience. They really made the most of it. So hopefully, you do that on 60. Imagine what you could do on 300.
Yeah, absolutely.
On a decent day. So I hope this is just the first of many events.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm quite relieved. That shows that this is possible and there's an appetite for this kind of thing, even with the vagaries of the British weather. I really hope in the not-too-distant future, Richard will have enough money to start renovating the barns and get his farmhouse back for his family. You know, of course I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think we have identified a really clever way for you to utilise the marquee and the grounds, which are, after all, the jewel in this crown.
Yeah.
You know, since I've been here, this place is transformed.
So much brighter.
It is a lot nicer place to stay.
Not only have we had a dry run, but we've also, thanks to you, had some fantastic contacts. One we've had today, and there's 2 more waiting in the wings.
I hope your longer-term situation gets sorted out. And in the short term, I hope that we've helped you identify other ways of making money just to keep this bloody show on the road.
Yeah. We won't fail. We will continue.
Thank you.
I think Alex's involvement here will undoubtedly open a new chapter. It'll certainly be pre-Alex and post-Alex. I'm convinced Alex's input will accelerate our repair and our renewal and our enthusiasm of what we started to do 8 years ago. Alex came and saved us.